You're listening to the official Minnesota Wild podcast, presented by Acrisure.
You mentioned yesterday Jesper gets the starting goal. Any other changes up front? Yurov situation?
Yurov will not be in tonight.
Okay.
This was from the Chicago game for him?
Yeah.
When you face this team with McDavid and Draisaitl, they're on separate lines right now. What makes it such a challenge? Because they're both different players, but they're both so dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, the two of them individually on their own, they're beasts to play against. They're highly talented, they're highly competitive. They bring different dynamics to the game, but both of them are, high-end players. What makes it challenging too is if they're together, it's one issue. But the other thing that makes those two guys special is they also make other players around them better. So when they're split up, it's not only just them. I think that they help elevate whatever line that they're going to play on. So and they can hurt you in a lot of different ways. So it's always a challenge when you play them.
Yurov is here, though.
Yurov is here, yeah. I would anticipate he would be. I classify him as day-to-day right now.
And then Rossi, he stayed back?
Rossi is back, and there's a possibility, depending on how he responds, whether he'll meet us later in the trip or not.
John, with the goaltending, obviously Jesper's on a real hot streak. You need a bigger sample size before you say as a coach, okay, he played great in November, let's see how he is in February or March. Is it with the goalie as opposed to a forward or defense? Yeah,
I think it's like that with an individual player, whether that's Jesper or someone else, or also a team, right? You need to have consistency, and each month presents different challenges, and there's still a lot of hockey left to be played. So, what's encouraging is that he had a good off season. He made some real commitments to show that he wants to be able to get the best out of his abilities. We know he has NHL talent, but I think now he's learning the other parts of whether it's the game or being a starting goalie or how important sometimes the things around the game are. Your nutrition, your rest, recovery, practice is a big one. So it's good to see. We'll just keep taking it in short spurts with him, and as long as he continues to do what he's doing, he'll get opportunities to play and keep moving forward.
Headspace with goalies too. You're in the minors. Some goalies think I should be in the NHL. Does that enter into the equation? Yeah,
I think that was something that, particularly, with Jesper, I think he didn't handle it well at the end of training camp last year when he went down, and I think that did affect him early in the season, and then I think injuries came into play and whatnot. But I think also the thing with him is what I've liked is players are going to go through adversity, particularly young players, but the thing that I respect about him is that he had a tough year last year, and he didn't handle those situations the right way, but he took the action steps and learning lessons from that and turned it into action of what he needs to be able to do to play at this level.
What makes Matt Boldy such a special player?
Bolds is I would say he's one of these guys that has a lot. He's got great hockey sense. He's got great offensive ability. But the things that stand out to me is his competitiveness and work rate, offensively and defensively. We've added him to one of our top penalty killers now. I just think he's a guy that plays. He's a highly talented guy that's got a high engine, a high work rate, and he's willing to play equally as hard on the offensive side and the defensive side of the puck.
Is that tough to kind of teach a player? Because I'm sure these young players have so much success offensively. Mm-hmm. They come to the league, they got to play on the other side of the puck. Is that something that you kind of took naturally, or you had to kind of lean on them a little bit?
You know what? It wasn't. I would say the biggest growth with him, he always was committed to it, but I think there's times where, as an offensive player, you may not be getting the points or scoring as much as you would like to, and sometimes your game changes. And the thing that he's really grown in is when he's scoring and producing, he's playing a certain way. But I'd say over the last year and a half, when there's times, say he goes 10 or 12 games and he hits 3 posts and he doesn't get as many points as he wants to or he can, his game doesn't change. He doesn't become leaky defensively. His effort doesn't wane. He plays the same way, knowing that it's going to come back.
Spurgeon, as a coach, do you still look at a player like that and say, how did this happen? 1,000 games for a guy who's that size and playing defense. You know what? Until you get to know him, yes. But I think when you see him play and you coach him every day, he's a great competitor. But his skating, he's fearless. But his hockey sense and his ability to play as a smaller defenseman, whether it's going back for pucks on breakouts and knowing when he's going to get hit and when he's not going to get hit, his ability to defend hard, like you watch him defend in the corners and at the net front as a smaller guy, he uses his leverage, he's good with sticks. I think his competitiveness and his hockey
smarts have allowed him to be able to be as effective as he has for this long.
Now teams would draft a smaller defenseman because the game's changed. When he was around, they weren't looking at 5'9"
You're right. When he came in, right? I think he got traded, right? From I think he was drafted by the Islanders, and then he got traded on that. So it's no different. I think even you look at a guy like Zuccarello too, right? Smaller player, but back in the day, it was harder for those guys to break in at their size.
It's just one of those games where you wish you had two Eriksson X in your lineup. The way the role he can play in this team. Like, what's the little things he does that makes him such an effective player that against top players in this league night in, night out?
Well, he has the physical abilities to play against top guys. He's big and strong. He's in unbelievable shape. His details without the puck are exceptional. I think he takes pride in playing a hard two-way game, and he also has the ability. And I would say with that line that they do play against some of the top lines, but they're not taking on heat all the time too. He also has an offensive element to his game that he's not just a checker. He can put teams on their heels as well. He has the opportunity to make plays and score. So that's why I think he's been as effective against top guys, because he's got the physical ability to do it, and he takes pride in it.
And the willingness to do those hard things, right? The little things that everybody wants to do.
He does. He does a lot of thankless jobs. He'll block shots. He takes so many big face-offs for us. I think when you look at how he competes, he's physical, he's hard, he's always around the net front. He plays the game hard, and he's asked to play, hard minutes night in and night out.
But when Draisaitl and Connor are on different lines, it's a little tough for him to play on two lines.
Yeah, he might have to take 4-minute shifts, maybe. No, for sure, and that's what happens with
two start.
Yeah, and that's what happens when and that's always the challenge when you play Edmonton. Whether they play together or they play separate, it's a dual threat either way you look at it.
Do you like the chess match, John? Do you like the line match? Especially when you're the visitor, it's harder. But as a coach, do you like that?
Yeah, it is a big part of the game. I think at the NHL level is just your ability to run the bench and do those things. I think there's a little bit of a luxury for us right now when we do have a healthy decor. We feel as though that we got 6 guys that can play, but I feel like the guys that the quote unquote top 4 guys, I feel like that we have 2 sets of D that can play against top players as well.
Is it more important to have the right D out there versus the right forward lines? If you had to pick one of the two, like, hey, I guess
I think you'd like to be able to get. I think the D are obviously important. I would say in matchups, I think sometimes you do want to get the forwards as well. That you want to have guys that are responsible and can play both sides of the puck. But I'd say the D are probably the more preferential matchup.
Anything else? Thank you.
For an extraordinary advantage in sports, you need a game plan. For an extraordinary advantage everywhere else, all you need is Acrisure. With a high-tech human approach to insurance, cybersecurity, and more, Acrisure helps you take care of what you care about. That makes winning easy. See what Acrisure's extraordinary advantage can do for you at Acrisure.com.